Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justmoparjoe. We're at Kuntz and Company in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Kuntz is owned by Gwatney Performance, best I could tell. They got a full working machine shop, CNC, and here's our dyno area with all the stuff. There's Drew and Joe. And it's about time to hook her up.
Honed. That's where we do the final assembly, installed heights, spring pressure checks. All that stuff happens in the clean room, then they get bagged and sent. Of course, a lot of this is production stuff. Of course, a lot of this is LS stuff, LT for GPI, and then we have like these are SC2s. We do these for the X275 deal. Solid casting SC2 CID. Cylinder head there. And we have several heads that we have our Kuntz Products 15 degree and 20 degree raised runner heads that are these are 7 style. We've probably got some of those heads around here somewhere.
One thing I want y'all to look at is our new Gen 3 Hemi stuff.
Yes, please. Take them around there and give us
My people would like that if I could film it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of branded separately, and so we still have, you know, Kuntz Power, and we have GPI, but it's all one company. And so we do all the production for all the GPI cylinder heads and all that LSLT stuff. And then we still got our tried and true Ford customers. So we still do a lot of Ford race engines. And then, you know, Brad's been off dabbling on that Gen 3 Hemi. I bought a what is that, a 6.4 or whatever that.
The big gas engine or something?
Yeah, I bought a late model Hemi to do R&D on. I just didn't have time to mess with it.
I got a Mopar channel, so they'd probably be more into this. Good Lord.
This is our airflow research and development. We've got all the latest and greatest tools for checking flow, swirl, port velocity. We can check just about anything you can check on a cylinder head. And this is our R&D casting for the 5.7 Eagle. And we've got 2 different ports. I've got a street port, which is a lot smaller cross section, high velocity, set up for hydraulic roller, street stuff. And then we've got a race port, which is a lot bigger. And I've actually got a customer that's building a stroked Eagle that we're going to run this. He's running methanol. And as you can see, we went in first and machined the spring pocket out, and then the pushrod tubes, ported the port nice and straight and shaped it up like we wanted, and then put sleeves back in and I put a spring cup in there. And when we digitize that, the machine will memorize all the features of that port, and so when we cut our virgin port, it'll have those features built in and won't break through.
Wow.
So this port right here, we set up to use the Apache valve. So it's got the 165 to 140. And that port right there flows right at 370. So it'll get close to Apache head in the cheaper Eagle casting. And then we've got the Eagle set up for just the stock diameter valves. And that port will flow 360 even with the stock size valves in it. So this head shows a lot of promise for really streetcar use, because for whatever reason the design on this head has really killer flow numbers at 400, 500, and 600 lift, right where you want it for hydraulic roller stuff. And then we're also going to, I've got an Apache port that flows right at 380. So we've got already on the menu, we're able to do the Eagle and the Apache stuff at pretty high end. type of setup, and I can take you off the hill. We'll show you where it
Sweet.
actually happened at. We only have to get one cylinder right in here, and then it'll go up the hill. And our Rottler 5-axis will digitize that port, and then we can reproduce it on every head afterwards.
Yeah, you never know what's in here when you pull up. Like it's like, well, just looks like a place.
Yeah.
You know.
We don't really advertise on the outside of the building. This is our block shop. Aaron just put in a brand new TNS CNC block machine so we can bore and deck, do lifter bores, notch. I'll show you our Gen 3 Hemi block. This one is a drag only deal. So, and he's running methanol.
Yep.
It's going to be 15 to 1.
Wow.
It's actually going to have a methanol carburetor on it. And he's running a 580 index class. So, we were able to take that factory Eagle block, and you'll notice the water jacket's filled.
Oh yeah. I'll get in there.
And so this block has very little water right at the top of the cylinders. And then we took these cylinders out to 4 inches even.
Okay.
So this will, out of a 5.7, we're running 400 cubic inches. You got a 4-inch stroke crank.
Wow, nice.
6/125 rod, and it's got a dome piston in it. Like I said, 15 to 1. This one's going to be solid roller. It's got the T&D shaft rocker set up, so this is going to be a pretty salty piece. And then we'll get to dyno it, and this will be our first real big R&D for our
Nice.
Gen 3 Hemi stuff. And then
Is it going to have stock lifter bore diameter?
it will. So far, nobody is making there's not a wide selection of solid roller lifters for these. And so at this point, we still have a question mark on exactly what we're going to do on lifters. It is an 842 lifter bore diameter, so
yeah.
we can shoehorn a LS lifter in there if we have to.
Huh.
I think it's going to take some relieving around the top of the lifter bore.
We could use a 903 Johnson.
Test that one just bone stock, and then add cam and head package. And see what kind of improvements we get, and then intake manifolds. So we'll be able to offer a top end for the streetcar guys that can bolt it on.
Yeah. Yeah, man, somebody put that one in the ditch early, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure he got away from it.
It's one of those Mustang things, I guess.
We do a lot of stock block stuff. This is actually going to be a really high horsepower stock block, GM LS 60 block. The guy really wants to go fast on the stock stroke, so this is going to be max effort, stock cubic inch, nitrous engine. It's got our small bore LS7 head.
Stuff like that, so this thing will pick you up good.
So it flows. The heads on it are probably one of the highlights of this engine. It's got the valve spacing on this head allows you to run a 4-inch bore, which most LS7s you can't do that. And this one has a 2/125 1/6 valve. It flows in the 380s on the intake runner, 260s on the exhaust, and that head flows enough to make right at 900 just on the motor.
Wow.
Won't do it on this one because we're setting up for nitrous. But
And you guys ported the heads?
yes, this is our CNC
Okay.
porting option on that head.
You'll have to get some fittings.
That'll be one that's going across the dyno in the next month. It's a dry sump setup. It ought to really zing to the moon too. This is LT. We do a lot of modern late model stuff, and so this is GM's LT8 block, iron block, and this is a twin turbo setup. We're setting it up for top fuel hoops, copper gaskets, and that one will see 35 pounds of boost or so.
Woo.
We did on these LTs, they have
These are all
direct injection from the factory, and it's not really an advantage when you go to a twin turbo setup where you're going to have a big methanol injector,
Right.
like a 550 or 700 pound injector. So on these, we have a dynoed elite, and if you look at many of these, you'll recognize that usually you've got a direct injection hole right here in the head where they're going to spray fuel in from the factory. So we welded this up, closed it off, and then he'll get port injection with a big methanol injector.
Those are really some small chambers. How small are they?
These are actually around 60.
Oh, it doesn't look that big.
We've got a smaller version. This is what we call our boosted chamber, or power adder chamber, which is it's got a little more volume to it. But we offer an NA chamber that we can get down in the 50s pretty easy.
Okay.
Wow.
I guess it looks small because the valves are so big.
Yeah.
The chamber that is.
Right.
We just put in a brand new CNC throttler home, and you know, I've been doing this for 25 years professionally. When we first started out, if you could keep a cylinder within 1/1000ths of straight, round, and true, you were doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
This machine will hold it within 2/10,
Boom.
and if you get a really high quality aftermarket block, you really can't even measure. We do have,
You guys got a pretty good profilometer, or not?
yeah, we do have a profilometer, and we do record those, and we have target goals for NA boosted. The weird thing about this machine is that the hardness of the block and its material has a really heavy weighing on the outcome of what you're going to get on your surface finish. So we have setups for dart blocks, setups for factory blocks, setups for aluminum blocks with darting sleeves, setup for aluminum block with melting sleeve. So it takes a recipe to hit that.
So have you done some CGN blocks too, or not?
We do. The CG blocks are no longer available through Dart. The guys who were making them retired or died. Nobody over there knows how to do them anymore.
Wow.
But those really were top of the line. So
Yeah.
if you can find one laying around in a warehouse, snatch it up. We poured a lot of the factory LSU tape here. This is our pride and joy. It saves us a lot of wear and tear and cartilage, because when I first started, we poured it every set of heads by hand. And now we can take it from the R&D department down the hill. This machine will digitize the port exactly like we poured it by hand, and then it'll replicate it on every casting afterwards.
Man.
So this
How
is
accurate is the digitizing? Is it
very accurate, and the problem is that this machine is so accurate that if you have a little wave in your port, a little hump, a little bump when you're hand porting, you're good. It's going to show up here.
Okay.
The beauty of this machine is that you can hone out flaws in the port. So it'll take your high spot low and your low spot high. The problem with that is sometimes it affects the final product. So what we have to do on these heads, we'll R&D it down the hill, we'll digitize it, we'll port one cylinder, we'll have the guys in the production shop do their valve job and blend, goes back to the flow bench. We make sure that that final product is as close to the R&D head as we can get it. Wow. This is the direct injection head off a modern 6.2, and the problem with these is that they have pour shift from GM, and then the port walls are not that thick. They're not really made for being super aggressive on porting.
So do you guys probe for port shift before you do it then? Or what?
We do. We have a sonic checker where we can check port wall thickness. And then every one of these actually gets pressure tested before it leaves here, because It's not a race car head. Most of our race car heads come in as peanut ports. It's got a lot of material built into the port, and that way we get 100% cleanup on our port job. It's not that way with GM heads because they're casting them to perform as cast. You don't have as much liberty about making them huge. CID castings, and so you can see we got 100% cleanup on our ports. We've got multiple port configurations for this head, and that's really one of our top sellers on the aftermarket LT products, and we do a bunch of those. Trick close. This is our Ford TFS head, and this is one of our most popular Ford heads. It'll fit with a factory style piston, 20-degree valve angle. We got multiple exhaust ports on this one. It's our small port here. And, these castings are real popular with just about everybody in the foreground, so we do a bunch of those. We've got our 3-axis machine, and Bryson does a lot of the logos on the end of the heads. We do a lot of soft chambers for the nitrous and power header guys in this machine, and then he does a lot of our, you see the bracket that he's building there is it's a special oil pump bracket that we build for the LT engines. They have a
Somebody will be stealing your design on there.
yeah, it's gonna be hard to do. It's pretty intricate piece. Just added a brand new CWT balancer last year.
Nice. What's the cost on your balance jobs?
$325 for a neutral balance assembly. If it's external balance, it goes up to about $400 some odd dollars.
Okay. Sweet.
We balance all the cranks for GPI, and also for Kuntz. This is one of our special projects. You can see the heavy metal that's been stacked in here.
Oh yeah.
And this is going in an 8.2 deck Ford. It's going to be a 392 cubic inch engine. It'll be 15-to-1 naturally aspirated. It's got a set of 11-degree heads on it. We get to play with all the really cool stuff. This is a grudge engine. I probably shouldn't show the guy's name. And small block Ford nitrous engine. I'm getting a new set of MGP. Billet aluminum rods. Cali's Magnum crank.
I'll cut that out. Cut his name out.
You can edit that out. And then we've got a couple of Bryant billet cranks there, and some really nice projects going right now through the shop.
Mopar Hemi and everything.
Yeah, that's the Gen 3 Hemi crank for the block we looked at.
Sweet.
And he's getting the Comstar crank. He's got the K1 H-beam rods.
Man.
And he's got a set of Race Tech pistons coming for it. Gas ported. Super nice pistons. That's going to be a real fun project. And
So as far as for H-beam rods, have you guys got any favorites or not really? I mean, there's so many different manufacturers.
right, and it really comes down to budget, because the price tag on is wide. Because like we can sell you a cheapo Eagle or Scat H-beam rod for less than $600 a set. But then when you get into the more high-end stuff, they can get up to $1,800 to $2,000 a set. That's a Corello actually there, so that's we'll start out about $1,350.
Wow.
So we do end up using a lot. The K1 is kind of like a mid. It's above that. It's a little better than the Eagle or the Scat rod, but it is still a Chinese forging.
Yeah.
Machine in America. A little more expensive, but we sell a lot of the Cali's Comstar products. They seem to be pretty high quality.
Which is kind of the mid-range too, right?
Yeah. It's still Chinese forging. the quality control on that is a little higher. Nice stuff.
Boom.
Yeah, this is going to be a twin turbo Ford, and this has our canny valve small block Ford head on it that we do. And I'm building a custom manifold. They don't make these CID manifolds to fit every combination, so I order them without the flanges.
Okay.
And then I'll make a custom billet flange, and it'll actually bolt down to this. It's kind of like a modular style of an intake. And these intakes make really good power, but John at CID is locked down to the external dimensions of his mold.
Fit my hand inside a port.
You can't change that part, so we end up modifying those to fit. The only problem is it takes me about a year to build one nowadays, and I'm the only one that can do it. So they sit around and wait on me quite often.
The coupe.
That's about a 2000. It's going to be about a 2001 tire engine.
Loading up.
That's pretty much it on a lot of the shop up here.
That's a nice place, man.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, Aaron has been great about keeping us in the best tools that you can buy and keeping the shop modernized. And it makes it so much nicer than having to battle old, wore-out equipment.
Right. Sweet.
Definitely got probably the best state-of-the-art engine shop in Arkansas for sure.
Right. So you need to tell my people where to find you at. So
well, we're on the obviously go follow us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Sweet.
We got both our pages out there. We try to keep updated. You can email us at sales@kuntzpower.com. Call us 870-246-2595. Larry or I usually answer the phone. And then just come visit us, come by the shop. We're at 540 Unity Road in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, and we'll give you the shop tour. And
yeah, say I've never been here before, and he showed me around. So I appreciate it very much, man.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Thanks for coming.
Let's go dyno something.
Yeah.
All right. Learned lots today. In the dyno cell, we had the wrong bell housing. So aluminum bell housing takes the smaller diameter flywheel. Should have known that. I had the larger diameter flywheel that has my weight on it for external balance for this 400 crank. So they're milling the adapter piece right now to go into there. When he comes back, I'm gonna talk to Aaron. You'll see him in the video running the dyno and all that stuff. So he's been super helpful. Everybody here's been super helpful. If you haven't seen the other video yet, go check that out. And we're gonna make as many pulls as we can. Hopefully everything goes smoothly.